Reporting from the Thaiger HQ in Bangkok, you just saw Tim walk past. You're watching Thailand News Today with me, Jett, where we give you updates on the latest headlines in Thailand. Behind me is the set of our morning talk show with Tim and Jay, soon to be aired live each day, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, our first story just came in. Thailand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has announced an update to procedures for arrivals in the kingdom post-November the 1st. The ministry says that the unpopular certificate of entry currently required for all international visitors is set to be replaced by a new system they're calling the Thailand Pass system. It is set to start on November the 1st, and we'll keep you up to date on this news on tomorrow's Good Morning Thailand, right here. The government CCSA COVID task force is meeting as we speak to discuss further easing of restrictions ahead of the country's planned reopening on November the 1st. Among the proposals to be discussed is the reduction of color-coded provinces under maximum restrictions. Officials will also discuss a reduction in curfew hours, which, if approved, could change from 10 to 4 to 11 to 3, starting from Saturday until the end of October. One big issue on the table is the proposed resumption of international tourism without quarantine. In a televised address this past Monday night, PM Prayut Chan-o-cha said that fully vaccinated visitors from low-risk countries could be allowed to enter Thailand without quarantine from November the 1st. Foreign arrivals would need to test negative before leaving their home countries and once again on arrival in Thailand. He added that the ban on the sale of alcohol in restaurants could possibly may be lifted from December the 1st, along with bars and nightlife venues being allowed to reopening. And so, guns blazing, the Tourism Authority of Thailand has already published its list of countries that it hopes the Thai government would allow back in, quarantine-free from November the 1st. They are the US, UK, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, France, Russia, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Israel, UAE, Switzerland, Malaysia, and Italy. But these countries are not yet confirmed by the CCSA. The CCSA is also being tasked to consider allowing meetings and cultural events to resume at conference centers and exhibition halls, as well as similar venues in hotels and department stores. If approved, attendee numbers would be limited based on the color coding of the province. It appears there's dissension among the ranks once more as Thailand's health minister disagrees with restricting the PM's proposed reopening to just 10 countries. Anutin Chanvirakul says Thailand should reopen to more countries. The health minister has argued that vaccinated visitors from other countries should also be admitted, provided that they test negative for the virus and remain one night in the province in which they arrived. The health minister has confirmed that he has already made his views known to the relevant people.
Another stunning day off the coast of Phuket, and I'm with Sean Stenning from 5-Star Marine, and in the background is Phuket, and you can probably see that tiny speck of white up on the hill. That's the big Buddha, and if the camera's moving around, that's because we're on a boat. So Sean, we're just like, what, less than an hour off the island of Phuket?
Literally 20 minutes from the pier right here at Koh Kai. So really, like, for me, this is just the perfect small half day or even full day trip to just go out and test yourself on the sea. If you've never been out before, the sea's calm. You know, we've just come here ourselves, and you could attest that the sea's nice and flat.
So how many places could you visit, say, on a half-day tour?
Oh, you know, here we've got the 3 Kai Islands. We also have the 2 Nakanoi, Nakaye Islands. And then if we're really lucky and low tide, there's a sandbar called Koh Pair. It's a beautiful sandbar, only available at low tide.
So if you're sort of looking for that sunset shot, the walking along the deserted beach and the champagne sunset and all that, you can do that literally within a half-hour ride of Phuket.
Exactly right.
All right, so Thailand is opening up. It's never looked better as far as the water quality, the beaches are clear, and there's not that many people, so please come back.
The Department of Disease Control reports that there have been no reports of severe side effects after administering nearly 500 Pfizer vaccines to students. The reassurance comes as fake news spreads through a viral line post claiming, among other things, that the vaccination drive is an attempted genocide. The DDC reports that after 499,046 Pfizer vaccines were administered to students between the ages of 12 and 18, there have yet to be any official reports of negative side effects. The rollout has been a big push from the Thai government in an attempt to reopen schools safely by next month. Schools have been serving as makeshift vaccination centers as teenage students get their Pfizer vaccines, the only brand that has been approved for emergency use in people under the age of 18. Earlier, Sinopharm had requested approval for ages 3 and up, but have so far been denied. The Vaccination Board of Thailand is now considering the next step as second Pfizer vaccines are being reconsidered for teenage boys after a very rare occurrence of heart inflammation was found amongst only young males. The inflammation had previously been reported in only 3 people in Thailand, all of whom were treated briefly and had made a full recovery. The final decision on whether to give the second dose to teenage boys or only to female students will be made on October the 25th, when second vaccines are due to be given for those receiving the first round of injections at the October 4th start of the vaccination drive. The beleaguered, distressed, troubled, however you like to call it, national airline Thai Airways says they're resuming full service on 36 foreign routes to destinations in Europe, Asia, and Australia, most of them from October the 31st. The implementation is in step with the Thai government's commitment to reduce many of the impediments and restrictions to international arrivals from November the 1st. There's a full list of resuming flights at thetiger.com. In the deep south province of Pattani, health officials are reporting that field hospital beds are about full with 4,000 patients as COVID numbers surge in the region. The Pattani Provincial Public Health Office is racing to create community isolation treatment centers to house up to 10,000 patients. The province has had nearly 27,000 COVID infections, with a record 566 new infections yesterday and 327 cumulative deaths. The capital district alone has over 1,200 active infections currently and has reopened several field hospitals. Pattani Hospital is also struggling to keep up with the surge in infections, not only scrambling for available beds, but also experiencing a staffing shortage as some of the medical workers there have also caught COVID. Neighboring provinces are not faring much better either, as Songkhla saw 475 new infections yesterday, bringing their active infections total to 6,340. Daily new infections over the past week have been regularly between 400 and 600 each day. Over 36,000 people have been infected with the virus so far, and provincial officials have now set up checkpoints for entry from high-risk southern provinces surrounding it. Vaccination is a key issue at the root of the surge in cases in Pattani, with less than 50% of the population vaccinated and 90% of the patients currently in treatment for COVID being unvaccinated. The surge is expected to continue for the next few weeks at least. And if the South didn't have enough problems, the fighting between the military and insurgents in the southern border provinces of Thailand continues. Yesterday, the Thai military killed a suspect insurgent after a shootout in the Ba Chaw district in the southern border province of Narathiwat. This marks the 6th insurgent killed in the area in the last week. A combined force of Thai military and paramilitary rangers used a backhoe to make their way through the thick jungle in pursuit of the insurgents. Soldiers were ambushed and a 10-minute gun battle ensued. The insurgents eventually retreated, and as Thai security forces followed their trail, they found the dead body of a man killed in the fighting. The suspected insurgent's body was next to an HK-33 assault rifle and rounds of ammunition. Forensic experts from Yala province were brought in to examine the body. They concluded that the man was a suspected insurgent, identifying him as Sufian Yusof. Sufian is believed to have been involved in multiple shootings and bombings as part of the ongoing insurgency in the region. Last week, the military engaged in another shootout in the same area. 5 rebels were killed during that incident, as well as 2 Thai military officers. And that's all for today's report, but check out the video that just popped up to continue watching shows on the channel. Thailand News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, you're now up to date on the Thaiger.